Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Well, today's a tough day in the market. I'm feeling very overwhelmed right now. The Dow is down, Nasdaq's down, S&P 500 is down. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. No, of course I'm joking. Us SPAC investors are doing really well right now. Round of applause, little pat on the back for us. I mean, Hyliion is up today, and of course there's big news we'll talk about. FMCI up, LCA up, so all of our big portfolio stocks are up, and even Nikola is up. So all of the EVs are doing really well except for Tesla, and our SPAC is getting tons of money poured into that sector. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And please like and subscribe, it really helps out. All right, so let's start with the biggest news of the day for us, which is finally we're winning, it feels like. Hyliion has finally filed the definitive proxy statement for the merger. So finally, there's no more uncertainty, there's no delays. Now we know when they'll be merging, or rather, when we'll vote for the merger. And it's going to be on September 28th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. So I'll link it in the description if you guys want to read it. You don't really have to register and vote, like if the merger is going to go through. But if you guys want to listen to it and everything, you can read in the description how to do it. And so the main thing that's going to be voted on is the merger, but there's also another thing that's going to be voted on, which we've talked about in previous weeks, which they want to raise the cap for the shares from 200 million to 250 million. So it's not really diluting the shares, it's just giving them the option of adding more shares in the future, whether it's through the warrants or whether they want to raise more money. So since they'll have everyone on the call, they might as well just vote for it now. So what happened with the share price today? Well, there was a nice spike in the beginning, right? It went up to $56, but as the day went on, it kind of started to go down. I mean, it hit almost $56 twice, but it seems like it's ending the day around the 52.41 range. And I think that what's going on is the market's down so much today, and a lot of stocks are getting crushed. Like as of me filming this, the last I checked, Tesla was down 18%, so massively down. So I think that it kind of counterbalances it, right? On one end, there's excitement with the SPACs. I showed you a few of them. They're all up. But at the same time, since the market is down, it kind of pushes it down a little bit. The warrants, as usual, that's what the last thing I talked about. I always said that this was my favorite play right now. The warrants are up 12.27%. So some of you hopefully are doing really well with those. Still think there's value there. Even now, I still think it's going to go up. All right, and this is my Robinhood account. Some of you guys know that I don't use it a lot and I just have money sitting there. So what I did is I opened a new position in Hyliion. When I did my video on Saturday, I mentioned that put spreads might be a good opportunity here because as we get closer to the merger, we can expect that the price is going to go sideways or up. The likelihood of it going down significantly is getting very limited. So what I did is I opened three contracts, put spreads, $50 to 45. So how that works is if the stock price stays above 50, I just keep the full premium. If it goes under 50, then it starts to eat into my profits. So my break even is going to be about 47.70. And so the way it is I risk $2.70 to make profits of $2.30. So almost a 1-to-1 ratio, which is very good. So I like this play. What I'm telling you guys, like options, like when I make a video, it's something that I'm considering. I'm not just talking about it and then not doing it. So here's what it looks like on the graph. The numbers aren't exact because the prices changed since I opened the position. But if you want to look at the graph, this is what it would look like. As it goes lower, right, this is where you would start losing and you have a fixed limit on how much you can lose. And above the 47.70 is when you start making profit. So your profit is capped, but your losses are capped. I like this type of play, especially when I expect the stock to go sideways or up when the volatility is high, so you get a good premium, and this is a case like that. So if I can get this done successfully in my Robinhood account, it's going to be a very, very nice profit. And now, moving on to the second biggest news of the day, which is going to tie in with my next topic. So please bear with me for a minute. We have Nikola up 41% on huge news that they're going to have an agreement with General Motors where General Motors is going to get $2 billion worth of shares, and in exchange, they're going to help them with manufacturing and engineering. So both companies really benefit from this, and you'll see why it's important for us as SPAC and EV investors. So Nikola is going to be validated as a company, right? Everyone, you've all seen the memes about Nikola is a prototype company, all Photoshop, and they don't really have products and all of that. Well, now they're working with General Motors, which is one of the biggest automakers in the country. So that gives them some credibility, and at the same time they get the access to the catalog of parts of suppliers from General Motors, kind of like what we talked about with Lordstown. It helps them save a lot of time, money, and they won't have to go through all of the safety tests. They won't have to deal with car seats, steering wheels, stuff like that. They'll be able to access the catalog of parts. Now, General Motors, I think that their strategy is they're trying to implement their technologies platforms with different EV makers, and that way that creates really sticky relationships. Because Nikola, once they're into this deal, how are they going to go with another OEM after that? They can't. Their entire products are dependent on GM. So I feel like this is a genius strategy by General Motors. They're getting partners that are going to be dependent on them for years and years to come. I watched the interview between Trevor Milton and CNBC. He says that they don't anticipate ever making their own trucks. They're going to be using GM. So this is huge news for GM. Now, the one thing that I was a little kind of confused by, you guys can tell me in the comments, explain it to me. I thought that Nikola was developing its own technology, right? The fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cells. And then now it looks like they're going to be using the technology platform for GM, their Ultium battery platform system, and the Hydrotech fuel cell technology. Hmm, I hadn't heard this before. I thought that they were working on their own. Or are they going to work together into like getting the best of both of their technologies? I'm not quite sure what's going on here, and watching the interview didn't really explain it to me. So if you guys know more about this, please let me know in the comments or send me a message. I'd love to hear more. But now moving on, this is why I'm really excited about this. Well, I'm filming this segment after hours, and this is the one thing I want you guys to pay attention to and get out of this video, is that I'm sensing a shift in the market. The SPACs, something is happening with them. Something new is going on. If we look, the Dow was down 2.25% today. Nasdaq was down 4.11%. Well, I want you guys to remember, think back like 1 or 2 months ago. Anytime the stock market was showing weakness or having a bad afternoon or something like that, our SPACs were getting crushed. They would be down 8, 10, 15%, some ridiculous numbers. They were showing a lot of weakness. So if we look here, the Dow was down in the past few days, right? Showing some weakness. But what's going on with the SPACs? Well, if you look at Robinhood's blank check companies, take a look at this column. This is what I want you to look at while I'm scrolling down. Look at the massive gains. I mean, you've got 25%, 15%, 10%, 8%. You've got a lot of those. So here, I'm not sure if they're not tracking these ones properly, but you get my point. Their strength showed by SPACs is really impressive. Look, we've got OPS warrants. I know there's some news. I'm going to be talking about it tomorrow in the Wednesday update. But if we look at HCAC, I've got those warrants up 11.79%, Hyliion 11.75%, we've got FMCI up 8%. You get my point. All of these SPACs, instead of being correlated with the stock market and going down, well, it seems like they're creating their own asset class right now, their own sector. So money is being taken out of the Nasdaq, all of the big boys that have been really pushed by CNBC and Bloomberg, and Kramer talks about those stocks all the time. Well, now it seems like a lot of that money is being transferred into this new asset class. So we've got the SPACs, we've got the EV companies that are doing really well. So we've talked about Hyliion and we've talked about Nikola, but even if we look at a company like Workhorse, which I don't personally like that much, I feel like it has some weakness, but I mean, they're up 8.47% today and then 1.50% after hours. So the point I'm getting at is there's all this new money flowing into this new sector, the SPACs and the EV companies, that weren't necessarily there a month ago. There's a shift in the market right now, and that is really good for us because, again, it's tailwind. Instead of swimming against the current, we're swimming with the current. So I just wanted to do this little video, give some updates, but also mention this new phenomenon. And now I just want us guys to stay the course, like keep picking good companies, don't pay too much. That doesn't mean, all of this doesn't mean that you can buy any company at any price, anytime. You still have to play it smart. But the fact that we're in a niche that has a lot of momentum right now is really, really good, and it's really going to help us magnify our results. I mean, where else can you get 10, 12% every couple of days? I mean, it's been pretty insane. The results just from my top 3 for August, you guys know already, have been spectacular. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be back tomorrow with the Wednesday update, which I'll go through more of the news, like OPS has some really good news today. So we'll go through that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching.